Hi everyone, it's Brittany here, and I have a mini album I'm going to share with you guys. Before I start that, I do want to show you guys how I made it, because I tend to get a lot of questions about how I did it. So I just thought I would show you guys before I even start. But this one is super easy, and if you're thinking of doing a mini album, this would be the one to start with, because it's so simple, and you can seriously put this together probably within the hour, if not less. So this is the paper I used for mine, and it's called Newsworthy, and it's by the Paper Studio. And this one is not cardstock, it's super thin paper, so I did back all this on craft cardstock just to make my pages a little bit more sturdy, and it turned out great with the cardstock. And I do want to point out too, these are all my scraps. I used, I think, like 5 sheets of paper, and I still have half sheets of all of them, so you do not need a lot of paper, and that's why it's another great thing for beginners, because I know for me, I have a hard time cutting into, one of my great stacks of paper when I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, and this is a great way, because if you happen to not like it, you waste 5 sheets of paper, or 5 half sheets of paper, so this is a great one to start with. And I also used this punch by Fiskars. Okay, and so to start, we're going to, I used 3 paper bags. You could use more. You could probably just use 2, or you could do, more. It's totally up to you. And I'm sorry, I do not remember where I got this tutorial. I just remember seeing it a long time ago, so I thought I would give it a shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 paper bags, and you do want to trim these off. I just haven't yet, and I wanted to do this video though. So you would want to trim this off. If you're wanting 5-inch pages, you would want the total length of your paper bag to be 10, because we're going to fold it in half, so you need to just adjust your size for that. So what we're going to do though is we're going to take our paper bags once they've been trimmed and fold them in half. So we're just going to pretend like mine are all trimmed and folded in half. And then you guys can see this bottom flap here, which is where the bottom of the stack is. We aren't even going to do anything with that. So we're just going to stagger them because we don't want it to be too bulky. So this one's on the left, so we're going to put this one on the right. So this one's over here. And then we're going to put the next one over here on the left. So now we have our 3 paper bags, and since they should be scored, you're just going to fold them in half like they would be, and nice and neatly scored. And you're going to want to make sure that you score this really super well with your bone folder, because paper bags are harder to work with than just cardstock, because they're not like a perfect square or anything. So we're going to say this is my 3 bags. You're going to take them all, and you're going to want to make sure, like I said, that your bottoms are staggered so it's not too bulky, and you're just going to sew a line right down the middle. I ran this through my sewing machine, no problem. It's perfect. I guess if you don't have a sewing machine, there's other things you could do. I know there's certain book stitchings you could do. I have never played with that, but there is other things you could do. You could even just run like 3 long stitches through there, and I don't think it would be very hard by hand. So that is how I made it. And you could also, because I didn't use any opening, I didn't use these for tags or anything, you could tape these down or glue them down, which I ended up gluing them after the fact because I didn't think about it. This is just strictly being my pages. All my pockets I made separately, not with the folds in the bag. So this is my mini album, and I'm just going to talk through it fairly quickly. It's really a tiny one. It's 4.5 by 5 inches. So it's really cute, but this is why it's another reason that this one's so great. Is like, if you want to try new techniques, this is a great one to try it in because it's not huge. You're not going to get intimidated with having, these huge 8 by 8 pages that you need to decorate and, do all this with. You can truly experiment with this. And I haven't done anything like grungy for a long time, so I thought this would be a good one, to try it on and try and get back in the swing of things. So here's the cover anyways. And I used some of my embossing paste with a brick stencil here, and then I went over it with some Mr. Huey's in brown. and just to give it color because it was a white pearl color, and I wish I had just gotten the white, but they didn't have it. So anyways, I just cut this out, and then I stamped memories, and then this hat was just a piece of this paper actually, and I just cut it out, but it blended really good. So I just took one of my water brushes here and dipped it on my black soot and just kind of gave it a little bit of shading just so that it was a little darker. I have just a little metal piece here and then some flowers that I got from Wild Orchid Crafts, and these all I sprayed and inked the edges and just did different stuff with, so there was different kinds of browns and golds since it's kind of like that vintagey feel. I used this die throughout, which is the postage stamp die, I think. And I used this script stamp as well throughout. And so here is just a little photo mat. And then on this side, I did the pocket. And for all my pockets, I always only use scraps. So that's why in this one they're all different sizes. But this book is kind of just Mod Podge together, so that's okay. This tag here I have had forever, and I don't even remember where it came from, but it was a print and cut, so I had printed it out forever ago. And so I just inked it up and stained it and made it look more vintage. And I must mention that everything in here has such cool texture, and I really tried to push myself because for this year, since it's a new year tomorrow, I am already making goals for myself, and I'm trying to push myself to use my stuff. And there's a lot of things that I hoard or I just don't use because I don't know how to incorporate them, like these paper clips, which I'll get to that on the next page, but here's this tag. So this is my goal for next year, or this year now, and I just really want to use my stuff and figure out how to use certain things that I haven't been using and get rid of hoarding my stuff because honestly I don't have room anymore and I need to use my stuff. So I don't ever use paper clips, even though I think they're the cutest thing and I just love to buy these shaped paper clips. These ones actually came in my Studio Calico kit, I think, but I really wanted to push myself to use things I wouldn't normally use in this one. So here it's kind of like a junk journal mix with mini album. Because I love doing this kind of thing with the junk journal, but I've never really done it with a mini album. So anyways, sorry, I'm totally rambling. Here I just did a little photo mat, and then here, this was part of a greeting card I got from Michael's, and this one is embossed, and so I didn't want the whole card in here though, it's kind of a small book, so I didn't want to do all that, but I just inked around the edges and cut it out, and I just thought it was so cute. It goes in here great. It's got that vintage feel. And speaking of that, I actually went around the edges of everything in here with vintage photo. And these are all inked up like in the center too with it. So that's where all this brownish color is coming from. So again here I just cut this out and then stamped the script stamp, and the script is stamped in Cupo Joe by Hero Arts. And then down here I had gotten this wood piece from Darla G, and I just stamped that Best Week Ever on it and then inked around the edges. And I just thought that was really cute, you know, kind of a little title for that page. And then over here I have another pocket, and I'm not really sure where I got this piece, but it's like a heavy cardstock, but it looks like corduroy. So I just inked around the edges, and I thought that would be a great photo spot. And here I did the compass on the bottom of this tag. And then over here, Tina, who is Tina's Cricut Crate here on YouTube, had punched me out a bunch of these dress forms. And I have been hoarding them, so I wanted to try and use some. So I stamped that same script on here and inked the edges. And I thought that just went perfect because it's so vintagey. And then here's another paper clip, which is the little clothes hanger. And I just used that on these pages. And then this was from one of the tag pads. So I just inked this one up really good just to make it more vintage. And another photo mat. And these are blank on the backs. So those, I just thought that went really well. And then over here I just have another plain photo mat. And then over here I have another tag. This one has a vintage bike. And trims are another thing. Like, I just don't use them often enough. And I love to use them, I just forget. So I'm trying to really push myself. And then on this one, I loved this washi tape. So I decided just to tape up this whole piece of paper. And it just gives it such cool texture, and it just feels cool. There's so many different textures in this book, and I just love it. I think that's part of why I love it so much. And I think it has to do part with this, because I did that on the front. And I've never really tried anything like that before, so I just thought that was cool. And then this is the last page here, and it's just pretty blank. I thought about doing a photo mat, but I just didn't do one yet. And then here is the back. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that this inspires you, because this is one of the easiest books you guys could try. I really urge you to try this one if you have been wanting to try a mini album, because this one is super easy, super fast. I don't know, I was working on it off and on, so it did take me a couple hours because I was back and forth, but if you sat down and just did this, you could probably whip it out in an hour, depending on your techniques and embellishing. So anyways, sorry, I've been rambling this whole video, but thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year, and I hope you guys have a great year. I am almost at my first year on YouTube, so I'm super excited, and thank you all so much for sticking with me, and I hope you guys just have a great night, and thanks so much for watching.